Mike, since you've seen longitudinally a whole bunch of different changes between barcodes to MMM to last click to MTA, sort of the path back to MMM, what do you think are the sort of hangovers, relics, things you would want the industry or practitioners of measurement to know to say, hey, keep doing this, stop doing this, or anything in between?
Well, it's a very, very good question. So I would say I would point mainly into the need to use these methods correctly, because they're no longer simplistic. This is getting sophisticated. And when things are getting sophisticated, you run into the potential for misuse or misunderstanding what the results really mean. So, for example, it's very, very important, and we'll talk about this later, to make the distinction between top line versus bottom line, the results of marketing. And not all companies do that correctly. It is also very important to understand, and this is what LiftLab is. When is it that you need an experiment? Well, you need an experiment, for example, when there is something you want to try out, but you've never done it before. So there's no data. I see in a lot of the LiftLab data, for example, I see that they always advertise online, always, sometimes more than sometimes less. But then if you're always advertising, you don't know what would happen if you stopped advertising. But companies are very reluctant to do that because they're afraid of losing money, of course. Okay? But maybe with an experiment or maybe a small market where you say, okay, why don't you stop advertising there for a month? A small market, you won't lose your shirt, but we'll learn about how much of the sales results that you get are due to the strength of your brand versus how much do you need to augment that with various forms of communications. Okay? And there's many other examples like that, but the experiments are actually wonderful to fill the holes in the data, if you wish. And as a result, we're going in a direction, I would say, where we combine different methods. Experimentation is one method, econometrics is another method. Now we have all the machine learning, which takes advantage of computer tools to actually very, very rapidly update the results. So it's clearly a world in which there is a combination of methods that will do well. And then my hope is that it gets applied to the right metrics. We'll talk about this at some point, but should you look at short-term results? Should you look at long-term results? There's a great deal of ambiguity around that. So those are some questions that I think point to a very interesting future for marketing analytics, in which certainly not all problems have been solved, but the data are great. The software that we have now is great. It is sort of awaiting the correct use with the multi-method approach to solve important marketing